Hello there, planner friends. As I mentioned on my last video, I've been using a Jibun Techo for off and on for most of the year. Actually, it's in here. This is 2024. Anyway, I've been using a Jibun Techo for most of the year, and as you can see by the stack I have here, I've been using one pretty consistently for several years. So I thought that I would take a few minutes and walk you through my way I use the Jibun Techo, the difference between the B6 Slim and the A5, pros and cons, things I like, things I don't, and just share a little bit of information about it and kind of how I have it set up and how I use it. So if that's something that interests you, I hope you'll stick around and let's just dive right in. So you'll see here that I have multiple years from 2018 until this year in the B6 Slim size. And then I also have out here the current 2023 A5 Slim. It's in a Foxy Fix traveler's notebook cover that I have from way back when I tried to use a traveler's notebook and that didn't succeed. And I just slipped it in here and I thought I would show you that as well. And then I also have my 2024 just so that I can kind of show you how the Jibun Techo is laid out. So let's start with that. The B6 Slim and the A5 Slim are laid out the exact same way. So what you see here would be the exact same as what you'd see in the smaller size, just slightly different. And one of the things I will show you in just a minute is how little difference there is between the sizes. Because when I first started using one, I thought, first of all, I thought, oh my gosh, this is just too big. And then I thought, oh my goodness, this is just too small. But when I got down to it, it looks like a significant difference you can see here in the size. But in the reality of how the pages are used and laid out, there really isn't that much difference. And I have to say, this is one of my favorite Japanese planners ever in terms of the way it is laid out, the way it is set up, and I think it's very, very well thought out. And so I just like to show it to you. Now, why do I have a 2023 and a B6 and a 2023 and an A5? That's because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. And at the time, the B6 was out of stock. And so I ordered the A5 and back ordered the B6. I was using the A5. I found that I liked it and was fine with it. And so then when the B6 came in, I haven't really used it very much because at that point I was pretty invested in the A5. For next year, I do have both sizes. I'm still conflicted as to which one I'm going to use, but I'm leaning towards the A5 just because it has a little bit more room, and I don't generally carry this with me. It usually just stays at home kind of as an archive. So let's go through this a little bit. This is the A5 Slim, as I mentioned. This is the Biz version. There is a regular, I guess they call it, that has a different paper. This has the Mio paper, which is another thing that I love about this planner. I love the paper. It's not as finicky as the Tomoe River paper, but it's very thin. You can see the profile is very thin. And in terms of, you know, handling pens, fountain pens, gel pens, all those things, it does really well. It is a little ticky with stickers, and sometimes pulling a sticker up after you stuck it down tends to rip the page. So I would just say if you're going to use stickers, be forewarned and be sure where you stick it is where you want it. It's not too bad with washi tape, but it is a little sticky with regular stickers. So you'll see here in the front cover, I got the beige or tan, I can't remember what color they called it, cover. There's a front pocket. And as I mentioned in my last video, one of the things I really like about these is that they have a lot of pockets. It's just, like I said, very well thought out. So there's this exterior pocket here. And then inside you've got 3 credit card size pockets. I always stick an adhesive pocket here just to have an extra pocket. And then when you get into it, you've got your cover page. You've got a how to use, which you can see most of this isn't going to be readable, but you could always use Google Translate. Some of it is in English, but most of it is not. There is a link here that you can go see the translations if you don't want to use Google Translate. So I think that's a nice nod to all of the English-speaking users. So this is just a sample that they have here to kind of show you how to lay it out. Then you have your 2024, 2023, and 2025 year at a glance. Then you move into this same type of thing you'd see in a Hobonichi, where you've got all the months of the year, 1 through 31 going down, and your weekends and holidays marked. I have not really made use of this very much in any planner, whether it was a Hobonichi or the Jibun Techo. I just forget about it, so I've just kind of given up on even starting with it. Then you have an age chart. Then you have this that's called My Dream. I've never really used it, but I think the idea is, your goals or dreams or hopes for the year. You could document them here, what you thought you wanted to do, and how you ended up. I just tend to use it as a place to make notes. Then there's the money plan, and this is another thing that I like, because one of the things that I track in my planner is my monthly bills. So you can translate these to see what they are, but what I do is I just write over here on top of the characters, I just write my different bills, and I kind of use these divided sections to kind of mark out things that are fixed bills, things that are variable bills, and then we have some rental property, and so I tend to track my rental property monthly expenses down at the bottom of the page. But I like it because I can see the whole year, and then there's enough room that if I wanted to, I could write what the monthly amount was and how much I paid, or if it's a fixed amount, I just usually write it in the first month and then just put a check mark and the date that I paid it. But yeah, to me, it's nice that I don't have to set this up like I would in a bullet journal or in my ring planner. It's already done for me. Then you have this Japan map page. I tend to use this as a landing page for post-it notes or other notes that I may need to make throughout the year. You could always paste something over it or just scribble on top of it. Then you have this weekly plan, and the idea is supposed to be that this would be your ideal week. So if you have a pretty fixed schedule and you know that you work 8 to 5, for example, and you go to the gym at 7 a.m. every morning or 6 a.m. every morning, and you're going to walk the dog at 5:30 or whatever, you could put all of that here and have your ideal plan. My schedule has not ever been that fixed, because when my kids were at home, it depended on their school activities and carpool and things like that. So I tend to just kind of leave this. But it's also really nice if you haven't started your planner yet, you can make copies of this and practice figuring out how you want to lay out your pages. So yeah, that's what the weekly plan is. It's supposed to be just a way to lay out your ideal plan. Then you get into the 100 wishes. So this is kind of like the my 100 list in the Hobonichi. I, in years past, have used this to track books, TV shows, movies, and in some cases I made each one of these columns, like books, TV shows, movies, that type of thing, podcasts. But you have your list of 100, so you can do whatever. And it's actually more than 100 because there's 28 rows. And so even though it stops at 100, you still have a few here. So favorite phrases. I haven't used this in years past, but one of the things I started doing this year was writing down quotes. My kids love to capture things that people say, in family conversations, funny things that people say. And they all have it in their phones in a note on their phone. And so I just have started writing in my 2023, writing it here just because I thought it would be fun to have it written down somewhere. And because I'm a paper girl and not a digital girl. Recommendation list. So the idea here, according to their documentation, is this is stuff that you recommend to people or that people recommend to you. And if somebody recommends it to you, you can put a check mark here that you actually bought it or did it or tried it or whatever. Book list. I do use this and I really like it. Again, this is something I don't have to set up. It's all set up for me. So you've got, where you can put your book title, your, what I do is I have, when I started it, the title, and usually I take this whole area because I write big. And then you've got your smiley face rankings, and then if you wanted, you could put notes here or your author, and then when you finish. That's kind of how I use it. But I like the fact that this is already figured out. Same thing with movies, gifts received and gifts given. So this is great if you want to be sure you're sending thank you notes for gifts that people give you, or if you have ideas of gifts you want to give people, it's a great place to just jot them down. Then you get into a promise list, and the concept here is that these are things that you promise to do for somebody or give to somebody, and this is like your tickler to remind you that you need to do it, and once you've done it, you can check it off. So like I said, it's just a really well thought out planner. There's a blank page for you to use however you want. And then you get into these Gantt charts. Notice that it starts in December, with some of the planning in here starts in December, which I like. So I could technically start using this week, which is part of why I'm filming this video, because I wanted to start putting things in here, but I didn't want to do that until I had shown you guys a completely blank one. So you've got your Gantt chart here that you can use for tracking, for project management, however you want, and it runs from December of 23 all the way through to January of 25. So you have 14 months of the Gantt charts, which is really nice. Then you move into the months, and this is very spacious. I really like the grid within the months. There are some things that I think are a little busy compared to your Hobonichi, like you have the little smiley faces here, where you can note your mood. But if you are somebody who likes to track that stuff on your monthly calendar, it's nice because it's already laid out for you, and all you have to do is, circle or highlight or whatever. There's check boxes along the side here as well as along the bottom. So there's plenty of room for you to make note of things that you need to do that month, or set up trackers or anything like that. The days of the week of the prior month you can see are grayed out, which I like. I prefer that as opposed to just having those days blank. And what a beautiful thing that January this year starts on a Monday. That just makes my little planner heart so happy. So you have from December of 2023 all the way through to January of 2024. So again, 14 months worth of planning. This is really nice, I think, because it allows you to kind of dive in before the end of the year, and then have this as you're planning ahead at the end of next year to start tracking things for January of 25. From here, then you jump, oh, wait, sorry, it's February. Oh, March, I'm wrong. Okay, so scratch that. You have 15 months of monthlies, which is even better because you have the whole first quarter of the next year. So cool. All right. Then moving on, you would think I would know that since I've used these planners for, I don't know, 6 years. You'll see that it starts the first full week is includes the last few days of November, and then starts into December. And to me, this weekly layout, if I were going to use or do use a vertical weekly layout, this is my preference. So let me just come in a little bit closer so I can walk you through some of the nifty things that I think are in this particular layout. So across the top, you'll see that you've got the phase of the moon and the weather, and this is where I put the temperature high and low, and then circle the weather. And believe it or not, this is the only planner that I've ever really consistently tracked weather, and I think part of it is because it's a no-brainer for me. I don't have to draw anything. I don't have to put a sticker. I just circle or highlight the weather for the day, and I really like that. Then you've got these numbers here that are in dark, which are these dark circles, and the dark is to indicate daylight and darkness. So the light is daylight and the dark is darkness, and you'll see as you move through the months that it changes slightly. I don't know if you can tell as I'm flipping through that where it changes slightly as you go. So I don't really pay attention to that, but that is what that's indicating. So it starts at midnight and it runs through 11 p.m. The way I use the page, and I'll show you just this in just a minute, but I use this section here, the midnight to 6 a.m. because I'm sleeping. I'm not doing anything actively. I use this section as my to-dos for the day. And then I tend to use the rest of this quote unquote daylight portion for activities or notes or appointments during the day. And then the bottom, I'll show you how I use the bottom dark part, because I'm, empty nester, mid-50s, not really going out running around at night or don't work at night or anything like that. So this area tends to be empty, and I'll show you how I've made use of that. Then you've got your to-do list over here, which is a nice long to-do list. Every other line has a checkbox. And then down here is a place for notes. And you'll see those little smiley faces again, so you can note your mood. And then you've got a sunrise, like midday and evening. And this is where I do my meal tracking. So I'll show you that in a minute as well. So you've got from the last week of November, first week of December, all the way through until the second week of January, or the first full week of January of 2025. And then you go into some notes pages, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notes pages, which is not a lot, but they sell the idea books, and the idea behind the idea books is you would slip them in here. They're Tomoe River, and they're very thin, and you would slip them in this back cover. And that's what I've done in the past, and I'll show you that in just a minute. And then in the very back, you have a looking back on 2024. So this is where you can make note, a memory month by month, and then your overall memory or impressions of the year. And then some personal data, so you can put, your contact information, any important contacts you have. Again, this is all in Japanese, so for me, I would just write in things how I wanted it to be and not really pay attention to what was here. But you could have this be your key contacts and your own information as much as you wanted to put there. So that is the quick overview. The back has this little slip pocket for like business cards, and then you've got a pin loop, which is another thing I really like. It's all built in. The only thing I wish it had that it doesn't have is a closure, which is why I use either an elastic strap just around the planner itself, or I've been using this cover just to close it. The other thing that I really like, and I'll show you this in my actual 2023 one, I bought the clear cover for this one as an added purchase, and I just slip in my Cocoa Daisy paper in here seasonally to change it up, because I really like being able to do that. And you'll see, like I said, I've got all these pockets full of stuff. I've got an extra adhesive pocket right here where I just put some note paper, post-it notes that I can quickly access here. And then I'm not going to go through all these pages because a lot of these are filled out. But like I said, then you go into the same thing. Now you'll see these little tabs along the side here. That's what these are. And these are they have these in the gray for the biz, and then they also have the colored ones, which are aligned to the colors in the regular version of the Jibun Techo. And I really like these because they're so minimal, and they take up they're just really low profile. If you don't have your glasses on and you're my age, it's hard to read the numbers, but I do really like the fact that they're very minimal. They're not obtrusive. The color is very understated and sedate. You also have, in addition to your months, you have the My Dream page, the yearly overview, the weekly plan, which is that ideal week, the project page, your key phrases, and monthly. And then what I have done also is made use of, I think there's more, if I remember. Let me open this. Or actually, I have, yes, there's 2 pages. Yeah. So I was noticing here, one of these was blank, and I wrote movies on it. And then one was books, and then another one that was blank and gray, I wrote finances. So I made use of some of the extras. So you can see here, contacts, anniversaries, life dream, map, 100 wishes, life plan, news, and you see there's a bunch of blank pink ones, a bunch of blank blue ones. There's the looking back and recommended, and then this is where all the monthly ones were. So I've just stuck those in the back here. And before I forget, this is the idea book, and like I said, it's very thin. It's Tomoe River paper, so it doesn't take up a lot of room. but I use this kind of, you know, for all my collections and notes and projects and things like that, and just prettied it up with some Cocoa Daisy stickers. So let me show you a month that, or a few pages that, let me see if I can find a couple just to kind of give you an idea of how I have made use of this. Yeah, we'll start with that. So here's the monthly, and you can see that I use it just like I use all of my monthlies. I just note important events. I do use my Cocoa Daisy stickers to pretty it up. I didn't even do that at the very beginning of the year when I was using it, and this one is a spring start, so it started in April, so that's why you'll see it only goes to March. I did use some stickers, sterling ink stickers in the beginning, just to pretty it up. I was trying to see if I was happy just keeping it minimal. Didn't really matter, didn't really care, but yeah, just very functional, bare bones basics. In the summer when I was using a pocket, I didn't really use this much, and then in the fall I kind of started using it extensively, and so, you know, more decoration, more notes, things like that. Here's an example of a typical week in the planner for me. So like I said, I make a note up here of the weather, the high and low. This was the pollen count. I always track the pollen count in the spring because I have such bad allergies. I like to kind of know if the symptoms I'm having are related to pollen or something else. This is where I put my daily to-dos. So here's my weekly to-dos, here's my daily to-dos. And then down at the bottom here, I have my menu for the week. Like I said, there's a lot of space for to-do items. And this typically is my, you know, time-bound stuff. And I may make notes and things like that in here. And then this section is where I kind of use to track the TV shows I'm watching, books I'm reading, and podcasts or audiobooks that I'm listening to. So that's what you see here, and I just draw a line with a highlighter or something just to kind of break that up. And then down here is a place for notes, and that's what I do, is make notes here, note my mood or physical symptoms for the day, and then I have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that's an example of what my week looks like, and you'll see I do use post-it notes a lot in here. Here's another one just to show you from August, similar type of layout, and you can see here I didn't track anything except for dinner, but basically the exact same layout. Let me see if I can find another more full week to share with you that doesn't have any super personal information. Yeah, so here's one that was a very busy week. So here's my to-dos, here's activities. We had a heat advisory all week, so I noted that. And then I was keeping track of different things going on. This was in the summer. My daughter was just back at school, so there was a lot going on. So I color-coded by person, and then, you know, had notes, more post-it notes. But basically the same layout. Nothing's really changed too much in how I use. Here's another one just to show you. I was trying some new hair products, so you'll notice that I made a note of what I was using. Curly hair girls, I'm sure you'll understand. Your hair has a mind of its own. But yeah, that's pretty much what my planner looks like month over month, week over week. I've really been enjoying this. I will continue to probably use this even instead of the Hobonichi. You can see here I put some stickers in here, and just made, you know, was having fun putting some pictures in and things like that, just to kind of make it look pretty, and make note of a few things that made me happy. So the other thing I have is this, is the pencil board. It is sized, it's from Kukuyo, and it is sized for the A5 Slim, so it fits in here nicely. I just bought this when I bought my 2024. I've never used one in years past and haven't really felt the need for it, but I liked the little today marker, so I thought I would try it next year and see. So let me just show you a couple of previous years to give you an idea with the B6, how it compares. So we can start out here looking at 2018. One thing I want to note, and here I'll open this up to a blank just to show you. So it looks like, oh my goodness, this is so small compared to this. It's really not, because the grid size is smaller. And so you're getting almost the same amount of squares here, even though you are in a smaller, significantly smaller planner. It's exactly the same layout in the B6. This column is, let's see, trying to get the exact measurement. It's a little, let's see, this is centimeters, and it's a little over 2.5 centimeters, 26 there. And this one is 3. So, you know, it's not that significantly smaller. Like I said, the grid size is the difference. It is a smaller grid, but I have, as I'll show you, have used this quite successfully, and I don't generally write really small, but it really hasn't bothered me. So this was the very first year. You can see this cover, I cut it down because I was trying to fit it into a smaller cover. This is, you know, the exact same layout. I just had the navy the first year because I didn't have a lighter color, and you can see where I stuck in some pockets. And then I had made my own tabs here, which are worse for the wear from being used. But I'll show you, just kind of flip through the monthlies just to show you. There's where I was using the tracker. And then here's the monthlies. I always seem to start out very basic in the beginning of the year, and then as the year goes on, I add more color and more stickers. But yeah, so here's, you know, just showing you some of what it looks like. There are these little ribbons which drive me crazy, but they do have them even in the bigger ones too. So here's where this was the very first one. Here's where I started. Let me see if I can find some busier pages to show you. Post-it notes are my friend. I don't know how you guys are about that. So here's where I was traveling for work. This was another busy week. Now here, back in 2018, both my kids were in school, so I used color coding a lot to keep track of you know, who was where and who was doing what. But again, I was also up here this time tracking my medicine, my vitamins, and making sure all these things I was supposed to be taking, I was taking, in addition to the weather. I mean, you can cram so much into this little book, even in the B6 size. So this was a really busy week, and it looks chaotic, but I love it at the same time because this shows what my life was like then. You'll notice that I don't keep track of work stuff in here other than, like, I made note of meetings. But I don't, this is just personal. There might be the occasional thing that I make note of in the daily for work that might be something out of the ordinary. But yeah, so this is what 2018 looked like. I'll just flip through, show you a few more. You can see there were periods of time where I didn't use it as much, like in the summer when the kids were out of school. But when the kids were in school, this was a great little planner to help me. Here's 2019. This one I don't think I used nearly as much. Yeah, I was in something else. So I used it a little bit and then kind of tapered off. So it's not as busy. Here's 2020, which, yeah, 2019, 2020. We know how that went, so you can see what my 2020 planner looked like. It didn't have much of anything in it because we weren't doing much of anything anywhere, were we, in 2020. Then 2021, I picked this back up. Now this one I used some different tabs that were kind of minimal. I didn't like these as much than the ones I had made myself. And if I could find that cut file, I'd probably make some more of those, but I don't know what I did with that cut file. So this was 2021. So let's see. You can see towards the end of the year I used it, where I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, and then right around the end of the school year. with some heavy use. This has been something that's just been kind of an off and on thing for me, but I really love it, and I will continue to buy it even if I don't use it every single month. I don't even think I used it at all in 2022, even though I bought one. Oh yeah, wait, there was a week. Woo, look at there, when I had a root canal. Yeah, and that's about it in 2022, because I was trying to stay in my planners. And then you saw the 2023. I did, like I said, I did buy this one. And just to show you, so let's see, this is October 10th week. And let me find it in here. And I'll show you. That's the 16th. Oh wait, the 23rd. Okay, so here's side by side. I don't know if I can fit them both in frame, but here's side by side. Now, granted, this one I was kind of back planning to get a feel for whether or not I wanted to move into this for next year. But you can see this is what a typical week looks like when I'm using this as my main planner. There's post-it notes, there's highlights to indicate special things, scribbles notes, tracking, you know, like my dog, medicine, walks, that kind of stuff, weather, to-do lists. I mean, got a few little stickers here and there, but I love this planner. If I were not using rings, this would be the planner that I use. I just really, really like it. So that is the Jibun Techo. I hope that this was helpful for any of you that are curious about it. I will be using one next year, whether it will be the B6 or the A5. I don't know. I have both of them, and I'm just going to kind of wait and see. Right now, I've kind of been enjoying the extra space that the A5 affords, but looking back through my B6 ones, I really like those chaotic, busy pages, so I don't know what I'll end up doing. Let me know in the comments below. Have you ever used a Jibun Techo? Do you have any thoughts about it? Love it, hate it? Or is this something that's brand new to you and you were curious about? And has this helped you in trying to decide if you might want to try one? I hope you are all doing well, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye, everybody.